On a cold winter night on December 30th, 1916, Felix Yusupov nervously prepared to meet his dinner guest. If everything went well, his guest would be dead by morning. The Russian Empire had been collapsing, and to Yusupov and his house guests, their guest had been responsible for it all, the man, Grigori Yefimovich Rasputin. And in the next 24 hours, he would be poisoned, shot several times, and dumped to drown in the Little Nevka River. In the end, Rasputin couldn't escape the consequences of his actions. His assassination and murder, an attempt to restore the Russian monarchy, would ultimately prove futile. Revolution was coming, and the empire was already crumbling. But how did one monk, with a taste for liquor and womanizing, help unravel the fate of the entire Russian Empire? Join us as we journey through the pages of history in Grigori Rasputin, the life of a mad monk. We start our quest in 1869 in the village of Pokrovskoye. Here is where Rasputin was born. He seemed destined for an ordinary life, despite a few conflicts in his youth. Although Rasputin went to school, he never learned to read or write. His reputation for lewd behavior led to the nickname Rasputin, which means debauched one in Russian. Historians now believe that Rasputin meant where two rivers meet, a phrase that describes an area near where he was born in Siberia. When he was 18, he had a religious awakening and went to the monastery at Verkhotura, where he joined the Klisti flagellants. Rasputin twisted their beliefs, claiming that the closest way to God was by experiencing holy passionlessness, which he thought could be reached through sexual exhaustion after wild behavior. Rasputin didn't become a real monk, though. He returned to his home in Pokrovskoye, and at 19, married Praskovia Fyodorovna Dubrovina. The couple had 7 children, but only 3 survived to adulthood: Maria, Dmitri, and Varvara. However, marriage didn't settle him. He left home and wandered to Mount Athos in Greece and Jerusalem, living off donations from peasants. He gained a reputation as a starets, self-proclaimed holy man, known for his ability to heal the sick and predict the future. Rasputin's journey took him to St. Petersburg in 1903, where he was welcomed by Theophan, the inspector of the religious academy, and Hermogen, the bishop of Saratov. At the time, people in St. Petersburg's court circles were interested in mysticism and the occult. Rasputin, a dirty, disheveled wanderer with piercing eyes and rumored healing abilities, was warmly received. In 1905, he was introduced to the royal family. In 1908, he was called to the palace of Tsar Nicholas and Alexandra during one of their son's hemophilia bleeding episodes. Rasputin managed to ease the boy's pain and claimed it was his hypnotic powers. Before leaving, he told the parents that both their son's fate and the future of the royal family were closely tied to him, starting a period of Rasputin's strong influence over the imperial family and state matters. In front of the royal family, Rasputin always acted like a humble and holy peasant. However, outside the palace, he quickly returned to his old immoral ways. He claimed that physical contact with him could purify and heal, which led him to take mistresses and try to seduce many other women. When news of his behavior reached Tsar Nicholas, the Tsar refused to believe Rasputin was anything but a holy man. Those who accused him were either sent to distant parts of the empire or removed from their positions of power. By 1911, Rasputin's actions had become a public scandal. The Prime Minister, P.A. Stolypin, sent a report to the Tsar about Rasputin's behavior. In response, the Tsar expelled Rasputin, but Alexandra quickly had him brought back. Nicholas, not wanting to upset his wife or risk harming their son, whom Rasputin seemed to help, chose to ignore further accusations. Rasputin reached the height of his power at the Russian court after 1915. During World War I, Tsar Nicholas II took command of the army in September 1915 and went to the front lines, leaving his wife, Alexandra, in charge of Russia's domestic affairs. Rasputin became her personal advisor. His influence extended to choosing church leaders, selecting government ministers, many of whom were incompetent, and even interfering in military matters, which often harmed Russia. While Rasputin didn't support any particular political group, he strongly opposed anyone who challenged the monarchy or him. In 1916, a group of conservative nobles, including Prince Felix Yusupov, the Tsar's niece's husband, Vladimir Mitrofanovich Purishkevich, a member of the Duma, and Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, the Tsar's cousin, all conspired together to kill Rasputin and protect the monarchy from further scandal. On the night of December 29th, Rasputin was invited to Yusupov's house, where he was given poisoned wine and cakes. When he didn't die, Yusupov shot him. Rasputin collapsed, but managed to run outside, where Purishkevich shot him again. The conspirators then tied him up and threw him into the Nevka River through a hole in the ice, where he supposedly drowned. However, an autopsy later showed that Rasputin was actually shot to death. His death was an attempt to change Russia. But by then, the system was beyond salvation. There was no hand at the helm, and the ship was drifting onto the rocks. Kerensky, who led the provisional government in 1917 after the revolution replaced the Tsar, and who knew a lot about the challenges of governing a divided country, said that without Rasputin, there would have been no Lenin. This was one of the many factors that contributed to the Russian Revolution. The Romanov family wasn't just overthrown, but executed by the Bolsheviks, just as Rasputin had predicted. And that was the life of a mad monk, Grigori Rasputin. We will see you in the next history quest.